Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Turnt For Good. It's your girl Larry Nicole, and today we have Arnold Jorge in the building.
What's going on?
How are you doing?
I'm all good, man. All good, man. Feeling good after that prayer. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, literally. It's first time. What is it? Not first time, but you're not usually the one in the hot seat, right?
Yeah, nah, not to this degree. More time, it's like fun, the jokes and like the nights, babes, and them type of. But I don't really do this kind of stuff, but it's good. It's training, man. This is good, man.
It's good. Your story's important. Your life's important, and
Thank you.
your creative process. We can catch some stuff about your life and what you're doing at the moment, right?
Yes.
So you are, for those who don't know, Arnold AJ, likes to be called AJ, is a writer, filmmaker, and director.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about yourself. What are you currently doing?
At the minute, just been getting in my directing bag. Directed Twixmas ad with D Double in other roles. For Twix. Done the Calm project for suicide prevention. We created like 5 ad campaigns for them. And then we got like a few other things that I can't really talk about now because it's all like pre-production, but like just been trying to get my director bag. And then obviously, just dabbling and acting kind of thing, but it's not really my main passion, the acting, but here or there, why not? You know what I mean? But yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. A little bit of music, flirting with music for a bit actually. Yeah, been flirting with music a little bit, but we'll see where that goes, man. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not I've got like high expectations for it, but I'm not like putting my all into that kind of thing. But I'm just kind of seeing how it goes and letting it happen organically and naturally. But those are the bits I'm on, to be honest.
Yeah, this see the freestyle is good numbers though. So that
Yeah.
Jory, you're literally flirting around with some new stuff. But...
Yeah, it done all right. It did surprise me. I'm not sound cocky, but I know I'm good at rapping, so I wasn't surprised because I'm good, but I was more not surprised because of the fact that people wouldn't expect that from me. You know what I mean? From like people that know me from before, probably know me more for comedy. So it's like them seeing me actually spitting serious, and it's like actually good. It was like I'm sure like, the shock value added, so I kind of knew people would take to it.
I feel like as well though, I respect the fact that you do different fields because some people feel nervous. They're like, well, people know me as this, so I can't really do it. It's like if you've been given different gifts, you can do whatever you want, and you're like been picking your foot in there. So you just need to have the confidence to say, nah, I do this, I do that, I do that.
Can I say though? Do you feel like? No, I'm trying to ask questions I shouldn't. But do you feel like
questions? This is a conversation.
Do you feel like it's better to be a master of? Is it master of one or master of none? So basically, what I mean is, do you feel like it's good to be a Swiss Army knife and do bare things, or do you feel like it's better to master one thing, be known for that, and then explore?
Well, it depends if you're doing things because you want to reach.
Yeah.
Or you're doing things because it's your purpose and your what you feel in your heart you need to do. Because sometimes that isn't the thing that's going to blow. But you make sure you're still feeding into that, because if not, you can have so much success from this thing, but it doesn't fulfill you.
Yeah.
And that's how people get, you can be rich, famous, and sad.
Yeah.
Nothing, you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like you should definitely, you can master something because you've been given a gift. And that's probably the thing you will master. But if you have a passion for other things and you want to dip your toe in here and that, then just always do things to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
Don't downplay it because you think you have to do one thing fully. Like, do it all with so much, I call it Godfidence.
Yeah.
Whatever you do it with Godfidence. And then what will happen, because you never know. Surprises, I never think I would be sitting here doing a podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you say your acting's not your thing. My passion is acting wholeheartedly. That's what makes me feel happy. But then at the same time, I know God's called me to do other things, and 100%. I want to be indulged in all the gifts that I have been given. Make sure I'm using them as like I'm a vessel to all these things that I'm doing.
100%. I mean, acting is good. I just think it's hard, man. It's like I feel like acting, you got to have that thick skin because there's a lot of no's before there's yeses. Loads of no's, and it's like you're going through this thing where your confidence is getting knocked. And then I don't like Samuel Jackson, for example. He didn't get his big breaks. I think he was at 40. So I mean, so imagine you're grinding from like 12 years old. Your confidence is gone by the time you've got your role. But luckily, some people will get their big break and then they're still kind of there. But then sometimes you might get a big break and you're kind of like deflated. You're like, wanted it when I was 20. Like I don't even.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Now you
40.
can't do.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Now I mean, even like Tommy from Power, that was his breakthrough role. But he said before that he was grinding and trying to get through the door, and no one was like giving him opportunity. So that's why I feel like with acting, it's like I feel like it's a good fight, but it's just too much of a fight.
Yeah, it is. But that's the thing though. I think it's like very character building because it's so much rejection. And if you don't do a rejection properly, then boy, acting is a hard game because at the end of the day, I think it's just alignment because it doesn't even matter if you're the best.
Yeah.
There's not a role specific. You're a director. You're right. You know this stuff. It's not for you. It's not for you. So I think I go on that. With me, with all the no's that I get, that's the thing I go for. It's not for me. It's not for me.
But that's why creating is important. That's why I feel like you can act, but I always feel like creating, because I started my production company for that particular reason, where I don't want to be a work for hire. I'd rather like you hire man and give me the budget and then I can figure it out. Like similar to what Adam Sandler does or Kevin Hart with like Heartbeat Productions or whatever. I feel like when you get all those no's, because Adam Sandler's a good actor, but I'm sure his acting skill, if he didn't have his production company was creating, people might not really take to his acting skill because he acts according to what he thinks he can play when he writes his stuff. So that's why I feel like it's just better to create your stuff because you can turn them no's into yeses, and then people start to be like, oh, he's actually sick. You know what I mean? Like I was always sick. How did it take you?
No one saw it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So a lot of people sit still and wait for that opportunity to come, but you can go out your way to get that and go through different avenues. So speak to me about how it was for you getting into the industry. Like, what was that journey? Because you do so much. Is like, did you start creating those opportunities for yourself, or how did that work?
I think it was obviously growing up in the hood, or whatever. I always knew that my heart wasn't in the stuff that was going on there. Obviously, you dabble and dabble because you're there in it, and I feel like this is the silliest thing. I always say this, but it's like I just didn't want to sell drugs. I just didn't want to do it. Like I just was like, what else can I do?
That's not silly. That's conviction that you know.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, like there wasn't like a, oh my gosh, like when I was young, I was like, this is like, it was more just like, I don't want to sell drugs, bro. So what else can I do? Do you know what I mean? And then I remember,
it's even football, drugs.
Yeah, it was like, and I can't play no sports. Like I keep the ball forward, it goes back. So I know I'm just not good at football. I'm the toe punt specialist. I'm not great at sports. I tried the football thing, it went for me. I'm so bad. The man them goes goals, and I'll find out on like Snap. And you know what I'm saying? No one, I ain't in that group chat, none of that. Yeah, so I was like, then I went, one of the man them, like one of the man them in the ends was like, I think when I was like in college, the man them in the ends was like, yo, like, I need a music video, yeah, and I needed that. I shoot it for me because I was doing media. He's like, I'll pay you $2. So I was like, rah, $2. So I hollered at big up Ade OG. Hollered at Ade OG, went same college, and I was like, yo, like, bro, like, my man said he wants to shoot a video. I'll give you a bills because it was 17. A bills at the time was like,
of course.
Do you know what I mean? So I was like, I'll give you a bills. I'm silly now. I'm smart. I should have gave Ade a fee, but I was like, I'll just split the whole $2. Like, do you know what I mean?
That's a good heart.
Yeah, like let's go $2 each. But then I was like, you know what? Let's not just shoot a video. Like, let's start a company. So we started the actual video company. We shot the music video. Long story short, the man didn't pay us because he was lying in the first place. He was never going to pay, man. Do you know what I mean? But I was like, you know how the man in the ends was, I'll pay you. He didn't have the $2 to pay, man. But that was like the seed. I was like, oh, there's something here. So rather than me being involved in you man's thing, I'll just not document it, but like I'll just film and make money. So I started a DVD. Then I was filming the DVD. Then I met Rashid from Link Up. And then at the time it was like New Age Vision. Music videos were going on there. And then like all the entertainment stuff was going on Link Up. Then it just merged into one. And then Rashid, you know, had Link Up at the time and it became what it is now. But it's like, it was just direct to music videos. Then it's like from there, I think, again, one of the man in the ends was like, yo, bro, there's a magazine that's looking for young people to be photographers and journalists. So then I've done that. I was like, cool, let's go. It was in like Labrador Grove. So we've gone there. And that's where like Amelia started Chicken Shop Day. She was like a journalist. She was interviewing them for the magazine. I was like a photographer. Done that. And I remember seeing stuff like that and meeting all these people within that world. And I remember one time I was like going on like sets and like seeing like people get free clothes. And I'm like, right, like, this is how it is. Like, because at the time I'd never left my ends. I was always in my area. So if I'd come out, I'm seeing all that stuff. I'm going to places like Brick Lane that I've never heard of before. Like I'm in Brick Lane. I'm like, right, like, people are walking around getting coffees, and they're like, it's like, you know, like when you leave the ends, it just looks more sunnier than your area. You know what I mean? It's like, right, the sun's actually shining, like it's nice. So I think by the time I came back to the ends, my heart just wasn't there, and I was like, I was just looking at like, this is what all man are doing, chilling outside chicken shop and whatever. Like, there's such a big world, like, and then from there, like, building up the connections that I was doing, like, cause I took like pictures for like people like Reggie Yates, Bashy, all these people I was doing photography. They were coming in for interviews, and then that kind of helped, man, to when I was doing the music video stuff to kind of hit them up and be like, yo, like, yeah, do you know what I mean? And start shooting these man's videos for like $2, $3, you know, like chunk change, but. And again, like, I don't know why I kept splitting it out free. Like, I just always kept splitting it in bills each, like every time. I never gave no one. Now I understand business, you know, if you want day rates and you pay them.
No, I see that.
No, that's bad business, because how am I walking away for bills if I produced and directed it and all man did was turn up? I get, but at the time I was 17, 18, trying to just pattern.
There's so many errors that we do though when we're growing up and we're
yeah, no, 100%. No, 100%. But that's like where I kind of came in, and then it was just like, I think from there, I wanted to present, and then I started presenting with the link up, obviously, because it was all entertainment. If you got to link up, if you got to link up, the first videos are all me. It was all my show. I had a show called Arnold Meets, and where we'd interview people. So then that happened. Then I was like, okay, I want to present. So like I said, in my head, just like, I want to do something. I was just trying to think, I was like, I want to present now. All right, cool. So started presenting, and then got the started the A Squeezy character. Then that got the channel U on channel AK, whatever. Then we started doing that. It was just like, I was just doing bare things, and then luckily that the A Squeezy thing's what then got me a bit of notoriety, where then people were like, oh, who's this guy? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I was only doing that to get to a point where now I can direct or
just you can be like the person who creates the piece, you know.
Yeah.
Is that what you think is that your passion then? Is that what you feel most happy doing?
Yeah, only because I feel like when you create, you're in control. I don't like not being in control. I feel like I don't know, like every time when I was like acting and I had like an agent and was going for auditions, I remember, like, not a sad story, but I remember walking out of an audition for something I actually wanted to get. Because when you're acting, you're broke. You're like, especially when you're young, you're like, you see the, because they show you the price before they give you the job.
Yes.
So you're like, yo, I'm good now. You know what I mean? So I've gone into that audition, and I remember walking out of that audition, my boy, who's an actor, walked in. Yeah, I've lost the role. And I did to him because I knew he's a trained actor. And that kind of defeated me, because I was like, raw, I traveled far, you know, the last little change I'm using on the train to get here. I think I even bumped the train at the time. I don't know, like, but I've made my way there thinking, and then as I'm walking out, he's like, what are you doing? Oh, yeah, I'm going for the shit. Oh, swear down. Oh, I just left it. Oh, good luck, bro. I was like, yep, I'm done. Do you know what I mean? So I don't like that control. Whereas if I create my own stuff, I might be like, okay, my boy, for example, he's better for that role, but I'll write myself. Like Eddie Murphy, Naughty Professor, all these films, I'll just play all the characters. Or I'll just, like, they're in control. Where, like, if I'm sure if you didn't create that and he's pitched that, you might look him like,
who's that?
What's Naughty Professor? Do you want to play the mum, the grandma, and the dad, and the bro? That sounds like a dumb idea. Do you know what I mean? Because Naughty Professor was already a film in, like, back in the day. So that kind of stuff is like, I feel like when I'm creating, I can do what I want, and then I can just prove to people like, okay, look, this is the package that I'm trying to do. Obviously, when I'm writing my own character, I'm writing it based off of what strength I can play. Like, say you was writing something, you know what you can do, you know accents you can do, you know all these things. So, like, I'm gonna add all these characters to the
10-10 performance.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
in control of that.
There you go. But when you're not in control, it's like, yeah, people are writing for you, and it's like you're just competing and that. So that's why I'll say, yeah, my main passion is creating, and then everything else is kind of follows through. Whether that's creating music, whether that's creating films, whatever that is, I just love being able to create it and control the pieces and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, I've watched that's an interesting story though, because I wouldn't know that it's come from that, you know, like just so much dibble and dabble in different things, and you end up where you are now, you know, and you're still doing so much. Just watching, like, even the recent stuff that you've done, it seems very purpose driven, you know, like very much with even the name deep rooted stuff, you know, like, so it's like, how does that come to play? Where does that stem from? What? Because I will see you as a purpose driven man, right?
Yeah.
So how does that align with your creative process?
Well, like, purpose is important to me anyway. But as a man, especially men, we need purpose. I feel like when a man hasn't got purpose, you'll see a man. I don't know. That's why that I don't know. Tyson Fury, for example, he retired and he's depressed because he's retired and he wants to go back in the ring. I don't know if you watched these doc, but it's like because as a man you just need purpose. Whether that's
Something.
whether
When you feel like you're on a mission.
yeah, you know what I mean. Whether your goal is to build a wardrobe and you know you can't build that wardrobe, but it's just like I'm a builder. You don't need to hire nobody. You know what I'm saying? And you're trying to pattern up the wall, and it's like it's a walking wardrobe. Just call the brother to help me. You're like, nah, I've got, and it's like you're making things, but it's like you feel like it's a project. Do you know what I mean? That's why a lot of the times I've clocked a man will say, "Yeah, I bought a wardrobe." 3 weeks later, he still didn't build it, but it's like that purpose of knowing when I get in that room, it's on. Do you know what I mean? It's like it gives him whether he's going on YouTube to find things, whether he's calling his brethren, it just makes him feel like something. Whereas when you got nothing to do, so with me, I like doing projects that have purpose only because of as a man I need purpose, and two, I feel like I don't want to kind of like just do projects that are not going to be fulfilling because like you said earlier, you could be rich and famous whatever and you're still unhappy, and I feel like that stems from when you're working on projects. It's like Elvis. I was watching for me, I thought Elvis Presley was like, he is obviously a legend in his own right, but I thought he was like the biggest thing, you know what I'm saying? But when I watched his movie, he wasn't. This guy was depressed because I didn't know his story. But like when I'm finding out that he's obviously his manager was robbing him, so he was only performing at um, a hotel in Vegas. He never toured. I thought this guy was touring the world. He never done a world tour. He was literally his manager was in debt, so his manager made him perform for years on years in that hotel. Like he had to deal with his hotel to pay the debt that he put done in the casino.
I didn't even know that.
Do you know what I'm saying? And he was doing all these bad movies, but I'm thinking Elvis is clear, and Elvis was his purpose was gone because he was like, I want to tour, and every time he tried to leave, the manager would manipulate him into coming back. So he never got to do a world tour. He never saw any other country. He stayed in America, in Vegas for his career till he died. And I feel like when you create, you can make all this money, but you see someone like Elvis, perfect example. There's no purpose there. You're working on films that are dead because all these films were dead. They were just cash cows. His manager was like, do that film, do that film, do that film, do that film. But obviously, when I was young, I was seeing these films and I didn't think they were dead. I didn't think they were good, but I just thought, oh, films. As I was old and I watched that video, I was like, oh yeah, it makes sense. These were terrible films. Like he was literally just Elvis in every film. You know what I'm saying? Like it just didn't make sense. So I kind of don't want to be in that position. Like even like the most recent project we did, which was with Calm, suicide prevention campaign we did. It was a project that we was working on. There was three of us. It was myself, Sarge, who I work with a lot, and Gareth, rest in peace. And it was mad because Gareth, who worked on it with us, passed away when we found out that we got the commission for the project. And that project there was like, obviously, it was a project called This Is Not a Drill. And basically what we did was we wanted to make people spot the signs. So the aim of the project was, if me and you're having a conversation and you're telling me something that sounds like you're feeling suicidal, but I'm not even preying and deep in it, you disappear and then the drill crew pop up and start to rap to me about the signs and then they disappear. But the story behind the drill crew is that they were white, so they all committed suicide in their own way. So they're like ghosts that come back to kind of stop people from doing that. And everyone that works on that project was like, because a lot of people they're like, we'll never ever work on a drill track. This is the first time we'll ever work on a drill track. It was like a music video, but the campaign. And it was like they were so happy to work on a project that's a drill project. Most of them were like, this is the best project we've ever worked on. And they're doing massive, big campaigns. Like, so I feel like I like to create stuff like that. And it done well, but it's not about doing well. It's more about, obviously, the people that it helps and saves. But it was like that kind of project there. I feel like, for me, God will bless me. I'm not doing it for blessing, but I feel like God will bless me more in the long run. It doesn't have to be through my career, but just through the fact that I've created a project that's helping people and not thinking about, oh, I just want to do something that's going to get me more fame. I'm doing something that's purpose.
Helping people.
Do you know what I mean?
It's calling though, because us as believers, we're on this world for a short period of time, right?
Mm.
What mark are you leaving in this world? What are you doing? You know, how are you being a vessel for God? How are you bringing people towards the light? Because essentially, the whole point of this podcast, the whole point of like what I believe our mission as believers is to find the light within ourselves and then draw people out of darkness with that light, you know. Projects like that is shining a light on people, you know.
100%.
I see you do a lot of work on like mental health and
Yeah.
suicide, depression, anxiety. I've actually seen that campaign. Big respect for it.
Oh, thank you.
It's really like powerful, even in short clips. Like, if you haven't watched it, go watch it.
Thank you.
With Calm Zone, right?
Yeah.
So people need to look out for it. Where does that passion come from? Why is that such a story or a mission you need to share to like help people? You know.
But like obviously mental health is a thing I think a lot of us go through, but many people don't actually know that they're going through it. I feel like, especially within the Black community, I feel like when we was pitching for the calm thing and we, you know, was looking at the stats, it was crazy to see the stats and crazy to see the type of people, you know, the ages that are
Do you
going through
remember
it.
this?
Suicide.
Do you remember some stats just so we can?
I think I can't remember the first. I think it was like, I mean, they said like 18 to 35 years old, people like within them, especially within the Black community, especially with like men as well. And I was like, that's kind of a big kind of gap, you know what I mean? And then obviously on top of that, it was like, some of the stats was that a lot of young people mainly like to talk to their friends about what they're going like. So I'll listen to what you're doing, I'll give you advice, but I'm going with something, but I won't talk.
Cool.
So that's like the stats was like as high in that, where friends would be like, oh, bro, trust me, you got a therapist, but then they'll go home and then they are going through the stuff that they're going through. So I feel like, especially like me, for example, like one of the campaigns we did was about an African mum who her daughter is kind of stressed, and obviously, no African mum, your daughter can't talk back to you, you know what I mean? So we wrote that based on like our parents and our upbringing. But then I remember at the premiere, a white woman came up to me and she was like, I was crying watching it because it made me think about my daughter. And I was sort of like to her, that's mad, because I wrote this for like my community. Like I didn't know you would relate to it. Me being ignorant, I thought you'd be more understanding, because I feel like with the Black communities, a lot of times there's a language barrier. Like my parents speak, or my mum speaks her language, so it's hard to, you know, kind of have that English language lingala back and forth. Whereas, so I was like shocked to hear like, oh right, you're going through, like, that's crazy. And she was like, yeah, I was crying, tears. And I just started thinking maybe I need to be a bit more patient with my daughter who's doing her GCSEs right now. And stuff like that touches me, because I feel like I said, mental health is such a taboo, and it's such a thing that it's embarrassing. Like even now you ask me, it's like unintentionally I'm going around the answer, because it's embarrassing to be like, yeah, man, I'm going through that. You know what I mean? It's like we're not, I feel like we're not at that place. So obviously this is not drill. The aim was to try and, nothing cool about mental health, but make mental health cool, in the sense where make it cool to speak about, make people see that and be like, yeah, do you know what I mean?
100%, because all those videos were relatable, 100%.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's the aim. And I think for me, I know that, especially as a man, you try your best to stay strong and try your best to be like, oh, you know what, just shake it off. Do you know what I'm saying? Like most of us, like if we go to our dads, especially, our dad's advice will probably be like, oh, come on, man up. Like, that's, what do you mean depression? Like, that's, I don't go through depression. But they don't know they might be going through depression, but to them they're looking at, I'm just sad, because depression only became a common thing recently. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I used to tell my mum, like, Mum, I think I'm having like problems that mentally, pray. You know, like depression was not a word. Depression.
Yeah.
Several lives, you know.
Yeah, they say, why you come to London and talk about anxiety? What's that mean, man? The spell anxiety. So it's like they proper like against it, and you're like, raw, like, but I'm genuinely going for it. Especially, I don't know, like you say sometimes, you know, when you're going through your downtime, you might not want to answer your phone. And I feel like, say, imagine like your parents calling you. They won't understand if you say, oh, I didn't answer my phone because I was in bed. They're like, well, I called you. You should have answered your phone because I'm worried. And you're like, yeah, but I can't answer the phone because I physically can't get out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Space that you're in.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like it's so important for more people to do stuff genuinely. I feel like mental health now is like become such a fad that people be doing it just for like personal gain, and not as much for like making. Because I feel like, yeah, like I can sit here and, like, for example, I could be on a press run talking about my show and be like, oh man, depression, and make depression the topic for each thing, because I'm trying to like win an audience over. And I'm like, is that what you're doing, or are you actually trying to do something so that someone that goes through it can look at it and be like, oh snap, like I hear it, man. Like, do you know what I mean? And because I personally don't think there's enough solutions for mental health.
That's the thing, the difference that what you're talking about is not just talking about it, but where's the solution? So you see how your campaign was spot the signs.
Yes.
It's like not just, because I don't think you should give it so much power that you're just talking about it constantly, but as in more like the solutions to what you can do to get better, you know,
100%.
to help people, to be that support, to make you feel more comfortable to share your story, so you don't feel embarrassed and you're not going around running around other people's stories, you know?
Yeah, 100. You know what's, I would have asked, you see, like, obviously, I've never really directly spoke to like a woman about mental health. And I know you said that you might tell your mum something and she say pray. Like, as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
what, how is mental health or depression or anxiety, how was that experience for you as a woman? Because I feel like I know how it is as a man, and a lot of men, like, and we have that,
Way tougher for you.
yeah, like, nah, I'm not trying to, no, and then you ignore it. But
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like as a woman it's the same? You try to ignore it, or do you run to it? Like, what's...
It depends, because it depends what type of woman you are and how you've been raised, because we're meant to be like this soft, feminine aura, like God made man and God made woman.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the world that we live in has turned women into their mask.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up on that energy of I'm a strong woman.
Yeah.
There's no man in the house. I can't tell me nothing. Nothing hurts me. You arm's length, so you can't hurt me.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, it's even like with the recent situation that I was going through. I was like tired of always having to be strong, but I didn't know how to speak. Like, I didn't know how to come to terms with not being strong.
Yeah.
I was like, no, like, I'm always strong. But I was speaking to a therapist, and I was like, I feel like I'm like letting people down, or if I allow myself to be in this hole, then like I'm not going to get out of it. And it's like, no, just because you're not feeling strong in this moment, it doesn't mean that you are not that strong person. You are still that strong person that is going through this, giving yourself grace. Stop being a people pleaser. Because she asked me a question where she's like, "Who are you being strong for?" So when I'm putting that mask on, it's not for myself. I'm doing that for everyone else around me rather than myself. But for me, it was really hard to sit down with myself and be like, yeah, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And letting people know that you're not okay. Because, yeah, some people can spot the signs, but they're also not psychic.
Yes.
If you're not coming from a vulnerable place, which is the hard part, and I think that's the bit with the woman bit, that it's probably easier for us to be vulnerable because it's kind of in our aura. Then how are you meant to get the help, you know?
100%.
But coming from that energy of me, like you're asking me, it was difficult. But I knew some girls, it might be easy for them, you know? But there's strength in that vulnerability. And I think that's where our culture doesn't teach us that, you know, where we come from. It's like, if you cry, that makes you weak.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're not weak. You are just having a moment right now and need that time to process, need that time to be gracious to yourself, kind to yourself. We're not taught to be kind to ourselves. We're taught to get it right so you can be right for others, you know?
No, 100%. So you would say therapist, do you think therapy, I've never done therapy. I've been thinking about it. Would you say therapy is a good step? Like,
I was so against it, but it's such a good step, because for me, the thing that's always held me down is God, my relationship with God. And he's definitely been my restorer, my renewer. Every time that my heart's hurt, my soul feels crushed, he's the ultimate healer. So he has lifted me up. But he has also given us all gifts to be practical. He's given things on this planet, like we can do things that are going to make us feel better. And sometimes if you do have deep-rooted issues, if you have PTSD, you have anxiety issues, you're a control freak, whatever it is, that needs to be worked on. The same way you exercise in the gym, you know? So therapy works, meditation works, going to nature works, whatever works for you, you just need to find that and be intentional about that. Because for me, therapy worked, but then after therapy, I was feeling mad, because it's like, I've let out all these emotions. What do I do with myself now? Like, I'm in this state. So then I realized one time I went boxing after I did therapy, and that felt amazing, because I was like, what's that called when you're releasing it? I can't remember what the word is. Yeah, I can't remember the word. But it's like doing something practical is like seeing that energy, you know? Wow. So I feel like you have to pick what's right for you. Some people is going into a cave and dealing with themselves and hiding away for a while. If you're like a social butterfly, some people is going to the gym. Whatever it is, you need to do practical things. But I think the therapy taboo is bad, like in terms of in our community, because like it's good to speak to someone who has no relationship to you.
100%.
That's not real with the people closest to me, because it's like, I don't want to let them know I'm weak, because then they're gonna be sad. Like, I need to be good for them, you know?
100%. It might feel sorry for you, or how they change the way they look at you, and yeah. Because you know what, I might use this as my therapy. I might ask a few questions. Oh. No, of course, go ahead, Sarah. You said something, yeah, and I envy that because obviously I believe in God, and I wouldn't say I'm religious, but I definitely believe in God, but I envy what you've said, because I always, when people say like God is my restorer, God is my, how do you get to that? Because I feel like sometimes I speak to God and I don't hear nothing, and then I feel like it's just me. So I envy when people say that, because I'm like, I've been trying to find that thing of like, because I know people, and unless like, some people be like, we go to church, be like, yo, I was down and I prayed, this man is for me, and then God gave me the sign, and then me and the man be married for 10 years and we got amazing kids, and I'm like, I'll be saying God, if I'll be asking and I don't feel it the way people are feeling it, so I'm like, am I broken, or or like is God beefing, man? What's going on here?
That's a good question, but I feel like when you ask to, then you position yourself and your heart in a place to hear, to receive that answer,
Yeah, I get it, yeah.
because it's also in the way you come. Because for me, it's like, are you even vulnerable to God? Are you really real to him? So when you're asking him for these things, are you trying to put a mask on that? God already knows that your mask is on there,
Yeah, 100%.
But sometimes it takes going to that humility and that surrender of like, you can see right through me. You know what I'm feeling like. I need your help, because there's a verse that I always dwell in, that it's like God knocks at the door of your heart, right?
Yes.
You open it and he will come and feast with you if you let him in, right? And it's like, I feel like a lot of people miss that part of actually letting him in. And it's a position of your heart to like actually want to hear from him and be like, I actually surrender to you, And I don't know. I think when the question is that, if like, why do I not hear, right?
Yeah, like how do I get to that place where I can be like, because like, for example, I haven't been happy for a while, right? And obviously I know that, happiness is like a mood, so you naturally want to find joy. But I feel like I had to sit down one day. I was chatting to someone about this, and they also were going through that same thing about happiness. And I was like, right, I've been happy for 3 years, like genuinely happy. Like I'm doing all this amazing stuff, but I don't feel happy. But then when I'm like, okay, let me ask God, like, God, da 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 da. And then some people be like, I just spoke to God and then it brings me joy. And I don't know if I'm being too logical about it, but I'm like, I don't feel that when I do speak to, I would love to feel that, but I don't feel that the way others feel that when others talk about it. When others talk about it, I envy, because I'm like, I want to feel it the way that others feel it when they say, I was unhappy and I spoke to God and then the happiness came. Like I've been looking for happiness for, I'd say about 3 years I've been unhappy, right? Yeah, so I've been searching for happiness, and I've been speaking to God about happiness, like, or joy, so to say, and it just ain't coming. So that's why I'm like, I envy people, yourself, the people that be like, yeah, like God is my joy or God is my peace, because I feel like, I don't know, like, am I on God's naughty list? Like, why am I not his? Like, why is he not bringing me that peace that everyone else is speaking of? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what I've been internally trying to search for.
Do you read his word?
Yeah, I kind of haven't been in the word as much as I should be. I'll be honest with you, but I've read his word, and I'm not saying it enough as in I've read his word. That's only read more, but I've read his word quite a lot from before. I was like really deep in like my religion and stuff like that. So I know enough about his word, and I still very very much live by his words and stuff, words that I take to relate to myself. So, but I think my thing, even when I was like deeply religious, it was always that struggle of like, I'm not hearing from God the way people hear from God. You know what I'm saying?
Because I feel like you have this already an idea of how God's going to speak to you, and it's hard to hear God when you already have the answer you want from him, or the way you want him to speak to you, I don't know why when I'm hearing you speak, there's a psalm that was on my heart to read for this episode anyway, that I don't know if you don't mind if I
Yeah, of
just
course,
read
go for
it.
it, yeah.
And it's just something that I like to affirm to myself, because it's like, maybe it's like reminding yourself and having that faith and that affirmation of who God really is, you know, and maybe you lack the faith and the belief to understand that, to then accept that. You understand? Because the way you talk to me, I realize you're like very like A, B control, like A, B. You remind me of myself sometimes, you know, and God isn't like God has order, but he doesn't do the things the way that we expect or the way we want it. Like he has a way of like showing us things, pruning us, and you know, like getting us to that space. But this psalm is actually Psalm 23, is a psalm of David. So I feel like if you're in that place of, if you say sadness, I don't want to say sadness, but it is like that place where your heart don't, the opposite to that happy place, right? David wrote loads of sad poems and like dwelling and fighting for God, you know, to come and show him his love and his light. So maybe like meditate on the Psalms, because it's like, it's not so scripturally, it's like emotion, it's feeling, you know?
Well, yeah.
So this one is not so sad, but it's like an affirmation that I like to tell myself. It's, the Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We've all heard this somewhere, right? But I've never, like, this week I sat and I saw it and I was like, the way the last bit written, it's like a plead. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life. And I think that's faith to believe that, you know, to say it as surely you should be with me, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
So it's that, I don't know what you might get from that passage, but it's like you're affirming yourself of who God is and what he said and the love that he has for you. And then you're like pleading him with like, I need to feel this, you know?
No, 100%. You know, it's true. I think I'm going to ponder on that, because obviously I know that verse, but I'm going to ponder on it properly as well. But I think going off that, my thing is this year, like, do you feel like, because obviously, you know, as I walk through the valley of death, and, you know, God lays me down in green pastures, but then the Bible also talks about us having to suffer, right? And I think maybe that's where I need to get my heart posture to be like, God, you're meant to be my pops. You're meant to be, you know, the one. Why do I have to struggle? It's like, for instance, I feel like the acting thing we're talking about, right? It's like, you see people that are, obviously everyone's talented by the grace of God, but there's some people that are not as talented. We just got to be honest with it. So you see people that are not as talented getting, and you're like, I'm your child, God. Like, what's going on? Like, just as an example, like, just what's going on? Like, why am I not? And it's like, obviously, when I talk to other, you know, Christians or people that believe in God, and I'm like asking them, they're like, oh yeah, but as a child of God, you have to suffer. I think maybe that's what I can't come to terms with. I'm like, why do you have to suffer if you got psalms like that says, I will lead you in green pastures? I think, but I'm saying it in a sense where you're right in terms of maybe my heart posture is I'm feeling a bit too entitled to what I believe God should give me.
No, because maybe you understand that you're a child of God and you're like, why do I have to do this? But three things come into mind.
Yeah.
One is, we live in a fallen world. God never says we will not suffer.
Yeah.
He says, I will be with you when you suffer. And I think that's where God turns that pain into purpose, or that sadness into joy. Because happiness, you shouldn't seek happiness. Happiness is circumstantial. But joy is a state of the heart. It's not if things are going bad or good. That is what you seek, and only God can give that, you know. Happiness comes and goes, and it's all about your circumstances, but the joy is what God gives you, which is through everything, you know, God is good. It's a knowing in your heart that God is good through all the suffering, you know.
Yeah.
And the other thing that comes into me is patience. Surely you'll be a good servant to the Lord, you know. How many years, like, we were watching the Joseph story this he got
that's my favorite, yeah.
brothers, you know.
That's my favorite story.
Like, you know, the was it Pixar's version, you know, like the
I haven't watched that. Nice. I
watch
it.
it.
Okay, yeah. And I love
King of Dreams. He got started for his brother, and then he worked as a slave for how many years?
Yeah, he went through it
after having everything.
Yeah,
But the thing that happened was he had that assurance in that, and that still being a humble servant, even in that time, that then God exalted him after, you know. But it's like without that patience, without still understanding in those hard seasons, God is good, he wouldn't have got to where he got, you know. And it's patience, I think, that we struggle with sometimes as believers, because we know our God given right. We know that we are favored. Then why is this happening to me, you know?
100%.
Why are these people that don't have the heart that I have
Yeah.
there, and why am I here? Like,
100%.
trust me, like, I'm still hustling out here too. Like, I'm still in that state, but it's like, it's that understanding that we are here for much more, like, you know, and if it takes a longer route to get there, just as long as you are aligned to God's purpose, you'll feel fulfilled eventually, you know.
100%. You know, you're right, man. I think that patience is definitely a virtue. I think the only thing I always say about patience is when you're reading a Joseph story or you're watching a movie and you see like it says 2 years later another guy's made it. That's a 90-minute film. That 2 years, I'm going through that 2 years. So yeah, I can be patient when I'm like, obviously you get encouraged when you read. Like, I love Job's story and I love Joseph's story because they're encouraging. You know what I mean? But I'm like, I'm reading that in the space of 10 minutes, and that story encouraging. But I'm like, that 10 minutes, I'm going through that 10 minutes, for example, and it's lasting 15 years. And that, because Joseph went through it for 13 years, 12, whatever long that he was going through it, like back and forth. This guy couldn't catch a break. He would get and then drop, get, and then something would just happen to him. And I feel like sometimes that's where I think it's hard to be patient. And that's where I say sometimes I'm like maybe questioning God, which I shouldn't, but I'm questioning God, saying, why is it okay that we have to suffer to get something good? Because I always feel like, why does it have to be an exchange of suffering to get good? Why can't I just get good? Like, why did God? Because obviously I like to modernize the Bible just for my own sake, but I look at the Job story like God and the devil had a bet. I bet you any money that my man wages. Like, yeah, cool, go on then. And then he goes, cool, bet. I'm gonna do something small. And he goes, you see? And then he goes, nah, man, I don't buy it, man. You know, I'm gonna kill these kids. Okay, kill the kids. I'm just like,
why would you allow that?
Yeah, but then at the end it's like, oh, but he was blessed tenfold. But then why did these kids have to die? His business have to go downhill. Like, why all these things have to happen to him before? Like, even the story of like I said, Abraham, when God was like, go and take your son and kill your son. And then again, I like to modernize it. But sorry to any Christian that don't like that. But he gets there and God's like, psych, don't kill him. Y'all can go back. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like those stuff to me sometimes it's like I find it hard. And I think maybe because I'm putting God in a logical way, I'm not finding that joy within him, because I'm looking at him as if he's right in front of me and he's a logical. I mean, so I think I maybe need to change, like you said, my heart posture and just change the way I see things. But I like to talk to people.
There's nothing wrong with the questions that you're asking, the way you're feeling, because that is the human response, you know. There's so many things you don't understand, but that's why time and time again in words it says that do not lean on your own understanding, you know. AJ, do not despise the days of small beginnings. I dwell on that scripture every day because it's like, why am I in this small beginning? But it says do not despise. Without that seed, it won't grow into what God's going to call you into, you know. And it's like that heart posture of that patience, because it's hard, it's difficult, but it's like God turns all bad situations for good. And that's why this is called Turnt For Good, because it's, let me get the scripture up. All things work together. So Romans 8:28. I know I've said this on the pod a few times, but it's literally the whole pod is based on this word. All things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose.
It's one of my favorite scriptures.
So it's like the essence of, there's no understanding always in why we suffer and why we have to go through this, but it's the understanding in all of that God is good. And you need to come to terms with that and believe that in your heart full-heartedly, so then you can start walking in that posture in your heart, and then maybe the answers will come.
Yeah, 100%. You know, 100. You know, by the way, guys, I'm only asking these questions. I like to always do me and then what the viewer might. So I always have to ask questions, of like, of for like, I just ask it for people that maybe also are thinking what I think, and then maybe they can kind of take from it, because I feel like
nothing wrong to ask them.
Yeah, because we always talk about things from the positive perspective. We never ever
blew me in here. Like, since I gave my life to Christ fully, wholeheartedly 2 years ago, my life, if anything, got harder sometimes, because that's something we need to understand as God believers. Like, there is literally a tag on our head that says "come for me." Like, enemy is literally saying like "come for me," because you're signed out on a mission now.
Yeah.
They don't like that, you know. When you're on a mission, they're trying to do everything to pull you away from that mission, you know. But it's kind of like is a test sometimes. And I know it's like, why? But it's a test, and it's like you have to persevere and you have to hold on to God, you know, like
100%.
with faith.
You know, I'll let you get back on the focus. I feel like I've been asking you bare questions and then switch the thing. But yeah, ask away. Sorry, I was just trying to understand. I forgot the cameras were on first. I forgot there were cameras. So I was
That's
just
the
like,
whole point of this.
yeah, I was just reasoning.
Don't think that that's not a problem. I'm not even forgotten where we're kind of at, but it's like
You'll make it hard for the editor, man. I'm sorry to the editor because
no, it's fine. It's literally fine. Let me ask you again, see if you maybe answer it differently. Where does that passion stem from?
it stems from a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. It stems from the me that I'm trying to be, and it also stems from, most importantly, me being an empath. I feel like I go through pain, but it hurts me to know that others go through pain because I'm like, I can deal with it, or just about, and I'm strong. So imagine the weak, you know, and you know I've lost still so much suicide, so I know that a lot of the times it's like because like I said, that's why I ask the questions I ask on purpose, just to understand and give people enough time, because these things are comforting to hear what you're saying, but sometimes people are just going through it so much that it's hard to see the end of the tunnel. It's
1,000%.
very hard to be like, you know, we're gonna leave me in green pastures. It's very hard to be like, don't despise. It's very easy for us to say that when we're strong, but then someone else might be like, yeah, but God, when? Like, I can't. Like, you know, some people just genuinely can't deal anymore. They just can't go through it. And I feel like I have those moments, but like I said, I'm a strong person. I'm a fighter. Like, whatever demons will be sent for me, I'm ready. Like, I stay fighting these demons. Like, I'm never scared. You know what I mean? But I feel like when I've talked to certain people who they're fighting their demons, and they're like, I don't know how long I've got to fight these demons, and those things hurt me when I hear that, because I'm like, I know how it is when I'm alone, when the doors are shut and it's just me. So, and like I said, I'm strong. But I'm thinking about that person who isn't as strong when they're alone. Do you know what I mean? When they leave the club and they're like, yo, you man love, bro. My God, yeah, come on, yeah, next week, yeah. They get in the car, drive home. They're in that house. They look around and it's just them and their four walls. And now they're thinking, I don't have another week in me till the next link up. Like, I'm sitting there Monday to Friday. I have to go to work. Yeah, like, I have to go into work. I'm struggling. Like, that person might be sitting there thinking, I've got to wake up at 9 o'clock on the Monday or 8, or however time they work up, and I've got to go into work and I've got to put on that brave face. And sometimes that can be draining for people. And I feel like like I said, there's not enough help for those people. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's where that passion comes from. Because again, me being an empath, I'm always going to think about people, and I'm always going to have a heart for people. Because yeah, those stuff hurts me when I hear about all these suicide stories, and I hear about things like, even like Robin Williams, sorry.
Yeah, that's that. You can't believe that person who's like smiles the most, you know.
Do you feel what I'm saying? And it's like, that person was like probably the happiest to us with all the films that he did, and then all of a sudden you see, even like I saw Method Man talking about it. Method Man, the gritty guy, talks about depression, and he's like, he has moments where he's weak and he doesn't want to get out of bed and doesn't know. Yeah, I mean, and you hear all these people talking about this stuff. You hear like celebrities saying all this stuff. You hear, and these are people with money. These are people that have freedom.
Then you think about those who don't.
Do you feel what I'm saying? So imagine a man that has freedom and money. A Kid Cudi, someone who I really like as an artist, he talks about his depression quite a lot, and his few albums before that was really about that. He's got the money to be like, all right, I'm going to go to a camp and sit with some rehab. I'm going to fly out. I'm going to do something to distract myself. I could just get a private jet. I don't have to go through custom. I don't have to go on a plane with everyone, my own, and I'm just going to go out the way. But imagine the guy that's like, I can just about afford to go to the next party with them and them. How does he or she get out of that moment? You know what I mean? And when I hear those things and I feel those things, as well as the things that I go through, that hurts me a lot, and I'm always like, what can I do to help? Like, even sometimes I'll post on my story, I might post some like deep quote. You get a couple messages, you're right. I'm like, I'm not even posting because I'm feeling it. Like, I'm posting it because I want someone to read it that's going through it and think, oh snap. You know what I mean? And I get those messages like, oh, thanks, I needed that, or wow, I didn't think of it like that. Do you know what I mean? And like, even the questions I'm asking, I might not 100% be feeling like this right now. I'm just asking questions that I might have felt, but then I want someone that's feeling that to hear it and be like, oh snap, that's a conversation I need to now start having with my brothers in Christ, sisters in Christ, my friends, my community. So that's for me the passion behind why. And sometimes I hate it because I'm like, I should just be creating stuff that's gonna make me rich, man. Like, why am I always trying to help everyone? You know what I mean? Sometimes you get to that selfish mode where you're like, I just want to do something that goes against my integrity, like some other people do. Like, let me just make some.
100%.
Do you know what I'm saying? Let me put on that dress, and I'm not
But
joking.
that shows the heart that you have, though. That's a
Mm,
God-given heart to feel other people's pains, But
mm,
it's like, how are you going to help them? By helping yourself, though, as well, and being real with yourself and how you feel.
mm,
Because you can't, that's a problem. Like, when you're pouring so much into other people, you forget to pour into yourself sometimes.
100%.
And it's like, sometimes it is like looking at yourself in the mirror, actually realizing how you feel, and being okay with it.
Mm,
And being real with yourself, not deflecting to see if someone else has got it worse than you. But no, I can't feel like this. I need to go help this person.
mm,
Like, you need to, in order to help others, you need to help yourself.
100%.
And I don't know how you're like communicating with God or whatever, but I don't know God to be a God who ignores that. Says, come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. you
100%.
know
Yeah, 100%.
so come as you are. Some people don't come as they are. They feel like they need to get right to then walk in this light and walk in this purpose. It's like, no, like, come to God how you are, and he'll work on you. He will give you rest. He'll
Mm,
give you that. There's no way that someone watching this, or you complete God, he ain't gonna show up at your door.
mm. I
There's
thought you.
no way.
I think though. I think you know what it is. I think that maybe the issue is that, like you said, a lot of people already like hear how they want God to speak to them. So
Hmm.
when they ask God for something, maybe it's like for example, like someone might pray and say, God, I want a husband, right? And they have this best spec, and then God brings them a 4'1" guy who earns 20 grand a year, but he's got the potential to earn more. Then God's like, God, I wanted 6'5", man. 4'1's a bit insane, because in her head she's already heard what she thinks God's portion for her is. You know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
a guy might say, I want a particular thing, like I want to be driving and going da 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 da, and then I don't know, someone blesses him with a Kia. And he's like, that can't be from God, because God would have blessed me with a Merc. Why did I get a free Kia? Like, do you know what I mean? I mean,
It's
he's
the
like,
position of your heart sometimes. And sometimes the answer isn't actually a thing. So let's talk about career wise. God, I really need to get this job that I want, like, that's going to set me up, like, help me in my acting career. But the answer to that isn't the job. The answer to it is God working on my character to prepare me for that job. So
mm,
it's like understanding the seasons. Why hasn't God given me this yet? Why isn't He giving me this? There's a reason for that. And sometimes, a lot of the time, it's character building. It's something that the answer is for you to find it. He gives you the seed, you do the work on your character, and that seed will grow into what you
mm.
want.
100%. So aside from a heart posture, what's another way to hear from God in like in terms of like what you just said about, okay, it's not always a thing. Sometimes it's something else. Other than your heart posture, how do you then get yourself to the point where you can be like, I hear it? Would you say it's discernment? Like, what is it that?
Yeah, seeking discernment, but I think it's a renewal of the mind every day. And I think that's where um I used to struggle with, because I'm such a, like, I need to know what's going on, or I'm gonna bug out. Like, I need to know when this is happening, so then I can do this and then do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And and I realize it's not the long distance, it's like the daily decisions you make, the daily choices you make to hear from him, or to renew your mind, waking up with a different posture of, okay, what have you got in store for me? I don't feel like doing this, but show me a light. Let me be a vessel. Like, the daily choices that you make will feed and water that that seed to grow.
Mm.
The long term is impossible to do it that way, especially if you feel so distraught and you don't have the energy. It's the renewal of the mind each day.
Wow, that was powerful, man. I'm gonna take that in. You know what I mean?
It's the renewal of the mind every day. Don't look at it in the long picture. Like, as long as you're putting one foot in front of the other, renewal of the mind every day, you're gonna get to where you're going.
Nah, 100%, man. Nah, I appreciate that, man. I think, yeah. I just wanted to just get a better understanding. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I've not done a pod that's like, obviously it's not just faith based, but a pod that, you know, you can openly talk about faith. And I purposely wanted to talk about faith on camera in this light, because I feel like one thing I always say, especially with like the Christian community, it's very judgmental in terms of like they only want to hear the right thing. Like if I was to say what I'm saying about prayer or whatever, there's definitely going to be someone be like, oh, what kind of is, I mean, they never want to like open their hearts to stuff like this and be like, come bro, or come sis, like I hear what you're saying and I feel that too. And I feel like it becomes very judgmental, like, nah, you can't say that.
Religion based, isn't it though? God has called us to love. Like, love anyone. What would Jesus do if he was on this planet? He'd be near the brokenhearted. He'd be to the people that need us the most without a judgmental front. And that's where I feel like us, as I don't call myself like a religious person, I call myself a woman of God, a woman of faith, because it's like my job is to love people. My job is to help people.
Yeah.
And you can't do that being judgmental.
Yeah.
You can't do that getting your back up when people have questions. I don't have all the questions for you. I feel sad that I didn't have all the questions for you, but I know that God can have those answers for you, you know. I'll hear you. I understand you because I've also come from that pain. But it's like just allowing, if you're around these like-minded people, it also helps you grow into that space, you know. And I do think it's a decision. So maybe like moving forward, anyone who's hearing this, or even you yourself, AJ, like wake up every day with the making the choice of renewing your mind, you know, even when you don't have the strength, you know, just attempt it and see how that seed might be watered and that seed might grow, you know.
What does that look like? Elaborate on that. Like, what does that look like? Say, okay, tomorrow I want to wake up and renew my mind. How does that? What's that? What is that?
Give your self, like, whether that's 5 minutes to meditate, to pray, to give that day, give yourself to God, you know, to do whatever it is intentionally, to give yourself some peace even for a few moments, you know, or to meditate or to reflect, you know. But for me, it's definitely setting your day with prayer. Like, that's the way you communicate with God. That's the way that God will then hear you, you know. So even if it's a morning, God, thank you for waking me up. I don't even want to be awake today, but I pray that you show me something, you know, give me the strength. Be as real. It's a conversation.
Yeah.
It don't have to be the Lord's Prayer every time. Be real.
Yeah.
Like God says, come as you are. He don't say, give me this prayer and do. He said, come as you are. If that's you're shouting at him, do it. But just be intentional about marking that step, you know?
Yeah.
Renewing your mind.
100%.
Set your tone for the day. Make that choice.
Yeah.
I know it's hard when you're in that hole, but make the choice for yourself, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Give yourself grace.
100%. I feel like I don't want people to think that I'm like, you know, I'm grateful for a lot of stuff that's going on, and I should have came on some point. Yeah, man, I got this card, that card. But I feel like obviously when the combo went where it needs to go. Yeah.
Don't think that you've shown yourself. You've shown yourself in both, because to be vulnerable is to be strong, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. You know, but you know, like I said, I've got a lot of amazing things to be grateful for.
Let people know what's going on right now, anything we should look forward to, because as we wrap up, I'll end in prayer, but just...
Yeah, so I'm in a theatre play called Time Flies. I've retired from acting, but I'm back acting for this particular play. I'm not really a theatre guy, but this play is really good. I'm not just saying it because I'm in it. It's actually, if you love nostalgia and you love, you know, like the 5-day passes and the Avrix is the new era. Like, if you love that era, this is for you. Do you know what I mean? It's what plays. It features Michael Salami and Dwayne Bower, who are both in Supercell. Done amazing stuff. Written and directed by Jeremy, who does a lot of stuff. Ratman's brother as well. So you know they have the writing, come from that writing family. So yeah, it's a really good play, man. I say come see it. Greenwich Theatre, 3 nights in Greenwich Theatre. They did it last year. It was for one night, done so well that they've brought it back this year for 3 nights. So
Fair.
yeah, that's like what I'll leave off. And everything else, I think I don't know when it will come out, or I don't announce things prematurely. But yeah, Arnold George underscore. That's me across socials. I think that's me on social. So yeah, if you want to find out what's going on, not really great on socials as I used to be, but come check out the stuff. But yeah, aside from that, this was a great conversation, man. I needed it. So thank you, man. It's
No, and it's a big up to you though, because what you're doing, like you can see your humble heart, you can see the willingness you have to want to help people, and the world needs people like that, you know.
I mean, I hear that, but God, if you're listening, take me off the strongest fighter list.
Oh,
I'm not on it again. You know what I mean? I've done it enough. You know what I mean? And this is the green pasture. Yeah, like if possible. Like I'm not really. Yeah, like I hear everything you said and it's great, but I'm not. I'm over here. You lot can do the fighting. Let me enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Let me be the one that's, you know what I mean, watching and eating the popcorn in the castle. That's something. God, if you let me just be in the Coliseum and watch y'all fight, and I can just shout, take him to the dungeon. Like, let me be that guy to this year, man.
You need some people in your life that can just pray for you,
Yeah.
If you can't pray for yourself, let them pray for you,
Please, if you're praying for me, if anyone's praying for me, and you care about me, and you ain't got a bad heart, pray that I'm off the fighters' strongest list for 2025. We're in March, so there's still time for me to, you know what I'm saying? Because it's been a tough not tough in a bad way, but just I've been fighting still, and I want to fight again. So
what's preparing you? I know God's got good things coming for you. So
I believe it, man. I believe it, but just take me off that list. Yeah.
Let me end prayer then. That's okay
course,
with you.
100%.
Anything you wanna pray specifically about?
Strongest list 1. And just to hear God's voice louder than I'm hearing.
That's a good position of your heart,
Yeah.
that's a good prayer point. But okay, let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this conversation, Lord. Thank you for your spirit, Lord. Thank you that you're with us every day, every step, every moment, Lord. Thank you that even in whatever industry we work in, or in every work field that we work in, you're always with us, Lord. You can shine your light through us. You can create miracles. You can do things through us, Lord. Lord, I just want to put AJ's life in your hands, Lord. Thank you for the person that he is. Thank you for his good heart and for the things that he's doing, Lord. I pray that you see his heart, Lord. You see his humility. You see his perseverance, Lord. And I pray that you meet him wherever he's at, Lord. I pray that you speak to him, Lord. He positions himself to hear from you. And I pray that that you just continue to guide him. Show him your love, Lord. Show him that you do have a plan and a purpose for his life, and that you're going to guide him towards that navigation to that place if he stays holding you through it, Lord. Anyone that might be watching this that's struggling with their mental health, Lord, I pray that you just fill them with your spirit, Lord. Show them who you are, Lord. Give them your love. I pray that you allow us all to be vessels, Lord, for you as well, Lord, that everything can be turned for good, for your name, for your glory, Lord. And I pray that in this year ahead, Lord, that you guide AJ to complete his mission, to start walking in more of joy and more love, Lord. And I pray that in this year you also bless this podcast, you bless all the people watching, Lord, that you really touch people's hearts this year, Lord. And we say this all in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
That's the end. Thank you
man.
so much for coming, though.
No, I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate the conversation. Appreciate your gems. I'm really looking forward to see what's gonna happen for this year.
100%, man.
I have faith, that this prayer, when we look back at the end of 2025, you're off the list.
Off the list, man.
You're
I'm
just
not.
pure joy.
Yeah, pure joy.
You're smiling.
I want that list again, dog. I want it, dog. Nah, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
that's the end of the pod. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you subscribe, you show some love, you follow AJ, follow Turnt For Good, and we will see you on next week's episode. Bye.
Peace.